Welcome to my tuning story. First, we start off by removing the side trim plastics and the exhaust. We then raise the scooter to remove its back wheel. After removing the wheel, we begin to bleed the cooling system. The next step is removing the transmission cover, removing any wiring, uncoupling the carburetor, the suspension assembly, and removing the engine from the bike. When the engine is separated, we begin the disassembly process of removing the vario and the ray valves. Remove the cylinder head, the cylinder itself, and remove the piston from the housing. We begin the process of removing the crankshaft. The first step is to remove the ignition assembly with a special tool that we made called Aprilia. Remove the crankshaft housing on the side of ignition. Then slowly tap the crank on the vario side with a plastic hammer. You may damage the crank, but no worries, you are replacing it. I decided to replace the water pump also, because it is quite inexpensive and easy to replace. Remove the pump, turn it clockwise, and remove the sprocket on the other end. The following pictures are of the crank seals, which you also need to replace with the bearings. It's best to buy a crank bearing rebuild kit. I do need to note, take pictures if needed, so you know how to assemble it back together.
Можно потучить-ка.
If you do not have a press, heat up the block as seen in the video, and remember to cool down the bearings, they have a really tight fit.
О! Звони, друга. Звони по назад. No.
Insert the crank. I suggest that you heat up the bearings with a hairdryer and also cool down the crank itself. After it's in, put down some sealing paste for blocks, and slowly, in a star pattern, bolt down the ignition case. Reassemble the 70cc cylinder kit, the cylinder head, and the piston inside of it. Reassembly is like disassembly but counterclockwise.